Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR. To compete in the FIA GT championship in the late 90s, Mercedes had to build a production version of their endurance racing prototype. They essentially took a carbon fiber tub, strapped a massive V12 engine behind the driver, and added just enough interior comforts to meet the minimum legal requirements. Only 25 of these were ever produced, making them incredibly rare pieces of motorsport history that somehow received license plates. The car was notoriously difficult to drive on regular roads due to its heavy clutch and sheer width, but it remains a prime example of a manufacturer bending the rules to dominate on the track. Porsche 911 GT1 Strassen version. Porsche realized that modifying a street car for racing was putting them at a disadvantage, so they reversed the process. They designed a mid-engine racing prototype first, and then built a handful of road-going versions to satisfy the rulebook. The front end shares some components with the standard 911 of the era, but everything from the doors backward is pure race machinery. It features a twin-turbocharged flat-six engine and carbon fiber bodywork, resulting in a vehicle that looks and sounds completely out of place at a local grocery store. Daer 962 Le Mans. When regulation shifted and rendered the legendary Porsche 962 Group C race car obsolete, a German company called Daer found a loophole. They purchased the racing chassis directly from Porsche, modified the bodywork to cover the wheels entirely, added a passenger seat, and implemented a hydraulic suspension system to meet minimum ride height laws. By doing this, they successfully legalized one of the most successful endurance racers ever built. A racing version of this exact street car then went back to Le Mans in 1994 and won the entire event. Shupen 962 CR Australian racing driver Vern Shupen took a similar approach to the Porsche 962 platform, but engineered his own unique carbon fiber monocoque chassis. The body design was heavily altered to look more like a traditional supercar rather than a prototype racer, though the underlying mechanics were strictly built for the circuit. Powered by a twin-turbocharged flat-six, it was one of the most expensive vehicles in the world when it debuted. Financial difficulties eventually forced the company to close, leaving only a half-dozen of these remarkable machines in existence. Toyota GT1. Known internally as the TS020, this vehicle was built for a single purpose, which was to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The rules at the time required at least one street-legal version to be produced. Toyota complied by building just 2 road cars, keeping one in a museum and the other in a private facility in Japan. To meet the requirement that a road car must have luggage space, Toyota convinced the inspectors that the empty fuel tank could technically hold a custom-sized suitcase. It is a genuine prototype racer wearing a red paint job and a pair of license plates. Moser MT900S. Created by an American engineer who helped design the Corvette C5 chassis, this car was meant to be the ultimate track weapon that could still be driven home. The lightweight carbon fiber construction paired with a reliable Chevrolet V8 engine made it devastatingly fast. It was so capable on a closed circuit that it was actually banned from several racing series for being too dominant against established European brands. The street-legal versions lack almost all modern conveniences, focusing entirely on weight reduction and aerodynamic downforce. Nissan R390 GT1. During the intense GT1 racing era of the late 90s, Nissan partnered with Tom Walkinshaw Racing to develop a car capable of challenging European dominance. They built just a single road-going prototype to satisfy homologation rules. It was originally painted red before being rebuilt and repainted blue, which is the form it retains today in Nissan's Heritage Collection. The twin-turbo V8 engine developed for this car proved so effective that the basic architecture was later adopted and modified by McLaren for their modern lineup of supercars. Ford RS200 Evolution. Group B rallying was a period of unrestricted engineering where off-road cars became dangerously fast. Ford created a custom mid-engine, all-wheel drive platform from scratch, rather than modifying an existing hatchback. The Evolution models were the most extreme variants, featuring a heavily upgraded suspension and an engine capable of producing massive turbo boost. They could accelerate from 0 to 60 in just over 3 seconds, a figure that rivaled supercars of the era, all while designed to fly over gravel jumps and navigate narrow forest trails. Lancia Stratos HF Stradale. This wedge-shaped machine holds the distinction of being the first car designed entirely from the ground up to win the World Rally Championship. Rather than adapting a family sedan, Lancia built a short-wheelbase, mid-engine sports car specifically for tight rally stages. They sourced a V6 engine directly from Ferrari and wrapped it in lightweight fiberglass body panels. To qualify for racing, they had to sell around 500 units to the public, offering ordinary drivers the chance to own a vehicle with a proven racing pedigree and highly sensitive handling characteristics. Maserati MC12. While it shares its core chassis and engine with the Ferrari Enzo, this vehicle was designed with a completely different objective. Maserati wanted to return to international racing and needed a platform that could accommodate massive aerodynamic modifications. The resulting bodywork is significantly longer and wider than the Enzo, creating enough downforce to keep the car planted during high-speed cornering. They manufactured 50 units for public sale, giving buyers a road-going version of a car that would go on to win multiple GT championships. McLaren F1 GT. The standard McLaren F1 was already a capable machine, but racing it at Le Mans required structural changes to improve high-speed stability. McLaren developed a long-tail body kit that extended the rear of the car, drastically reducing drag and increasing downforce. To legalize these aerodynamic changes for motorsport, they built 3 specific street-legal examples. These cars lack the large rear wing found on the track versions but retain the elongated rear section, making them some of the rarest and most aerodynamically efficient vehicles of the decade. BMW M3 GTR. When BMW wanted to race the E46 generation M3, they realized the standard inline-6 engine could not compete with the V8 engines used by their rivals. Their solution was to simply build a custom racing V8 and drop it into the M3 chassis. The rules dictated that the engine must be available in a road car, leading to the creation of a strictly limited street version. The road car featured a slightly detuned version of the racing engine, a significantly widened body, and a stripped-out interior, making it a pure motorsport experience for the highway. Peugeot 205 Turbo 16. On the outside, this looks like a standard front-wheel drive French hatchback, but the engineering underneath tells a completely different story. To compete in Group B rally, Peugeot completely gutted the chassis, placed a turbocharged engine behind the front seats, and installed a complex all-wheel drive system. The street-legal versions had to be produced in a batch of 200 to meet regulations. The front and rear sections of the body clamshell open entirely to allow mechanics quick access to the suspension and engine, just like a true rally car. Audi Sport Quattro. Audi had already revolutionized rallying with their all-wheel drive system, but they found their standard cars were too long and clumsy on tight corners. Their solution was to physically cut a section out of the chassis, drastically shortening the wheelbase. They wrapped this new, smaller frame in carbon Kevlar body panels to reduce weight and fitted a powerful turbocharged 5-cylinder engine. The street versions were incredibly expensive to buy at the time, but they allowed the company to field a much more agile vehicle in competition. Ferrari 288 GTO. Originally conceptualized to race in the infamous Group B circuit racing series, this car was built around a twin turbocharged V8 engine mounted longitudinally. Unfortunately, the racing series was cancelled due to safety concerns before the car ever had a chance to compete. Ferrari was left with 272 fully developed racing machines, which they subsequently sold to their best customers as street cars. The engineering lessons learned from this project laid the direct groundwork for their next major milestone, the legendary F40, Lancia Delta S4 Stradale. Towards the end of the Group B era, engineers realized that combining a supercharger for low-end torque and a turbocharger for high-end power would eliminate acceleration lag completely. Lancia applied this complex twin charging system to a mid-engine space-frame chassis that was loosely styled to resemble their Delta family car. The street versions required by the rulebook were detuned to be somewhat manageable, but they still featured the intricate tubular framing and advanced all-wheel drive mechanics that made the competition version so formidable. Ford GT40 Mark III. After conquering Le Mans and proving their endurance racing capabilities, Ford decided to offer a version of their legendary track car to the general public. The Mark III was altered to be more usable on public roads, featuring 4-round headlights instead of the aerodynamic covered lamps, and an elongated rear section to provide a small amount of luggage space. The suspension was softened slightly, and the interior was trimmed for basic comfort, but beneath the modifications, it retained the same core racing chassis that had defeated the best European manufacturers, Plymouth Superbird. In the pursuit of aerodynamic dominance in stock car racing, manufacturers began heavily modifying the shapes of their traditional muscle cars. Plymouth attached a massive aerodynamic nose cone to the front of their car and installed a rear wing so tall that the trunk lid could open freely underneath it. To race this design, NASCAR rules stated they had to sell one street-legal version for every dealership they operated. This resulted in nearly 2,000 of these winged warriors being sold to regular consumers, many of whom found the styling too bizarre for daily driving at the time.